Good morning. Welcome to day 16. Momo strategy in the sim. Take a look at what we got today here. My stuff. Okay. S&P 500 is still going up today. So it looks like the market's still heating up for now. Got CLIK popping up here. Low float Hong Kong company. Launch news, Form 6K news. Some levels here in the past. I'm going to remove them. I don't know if they're still accurate or not. I have a nice entry candle in the 5-minute here. MACD is still negative, and we're retesting VWAP right now. So our leading gainer for the day. Other leading gainers are SPRC that have a low float, LOCL, but it has a higher float. BIA, lower price. But both of those are under VWAP. So this is the only thing that we're really watching right now. I don't think there's anything from continuation the other day that we're really too interested in, so. High of day on this was all the way up at 527. Got a bit of a pivot at 450. So MACD's about to cross over, but we got some resistance up at 450. $68. Let me pop out my chat, put it over here. There we go. So yesterday was small red day. The market's heating up a little bit, so I'll try to be a bit more aggressive today, considering how the market has been. And swapping from my cold market strategy to my hot market strategy. So we'll see what happens today. So right now we're still retesting VWAP. 9 seconds left on that 1-minute candle. Got a bit of a topping tail on the 5-minute. Above VWAP, I'm going to take a little bit of a starter here for close to VWAP, expecting there to be some volume at 7 a.m. We dropped below VWAP there, but we held, so VWAP is going to be our support. And if we break 450, then I'll add to the position. But right now we're just in with quarter size. I have a feeling that this is the one that people are going to be interested in at 7 a.m. Got some volume coming in. Take a little bit of profit here because we're struggling. Scale it a little bit more. Break 450. Yeah, we got some sellers coming out, so I'm just going to take the rest. Just a small winner to start the day. Just buying the dip down near VWAP, expecting the volume, 7 a.m. So we have that level of 468 to break. Popped up to 460, but didn't really do much. So our size up daily goal is $15. We didn't quite make it there. We got about maybe 15 cents on that. Which is fine. We're just building a little bit of a cushion right now. We have Almu popping up, but it's higher float, higher price. I'm not really interested in that. Watching the scanners. XRTX popping up a little bit. Biotech. NASDAQ requirements headline with the EMA. The 200 EMA is up at 326. So I'm not interested in this. Not a powerful enough headline, and it's close to the 200. It's only up. Now it's down on the day too. High volume selling. So LOCL is pretty thickly traded with a bit of a higher float, 16 million shares. Put CLIK on a side chart, but it was selling off there. This is our leading gainer now. My strategy says that I shouldn't trade anything above 10 million share float. So, I mean, this could work right now with this hammer on the 5-minute, hammer on the 1-minute. It breaks through this pivot, 315, but it's got another pivot at 326, and then it has a little bit of room up to 380. But I don't see news on it, and it is a higher float, so I'm not interested in this one. Kind of just waiting to see if CLIK curls back up or get something with news. Good. XRTX, even though it's sold off, it's coming back up, which is interesting. But it still has to break the 200 moving average at 326. If it breaks 350, then it might go parabolic, but I mean, it's just NASDAQ listing, so I don't really trust this one, even if it rallies back up here. We are in a hotter market, so sometimes even these type of headlines can work, but it's a bit risky. We have two levels of resistance here to go through. We got the pivot at 3, and then we have the 200 moving average up there, 326. We end up breaking through, interestingly enough. Signals the strength of the market, that's for sure. You see that seller popping up there, instantly drops back down 3. So we are holding 200 moving average right now, but that mimics seller there up to 341. Pushing it back down. It's struggling right now. Struggling to get control of the 200 moving average. I'm just going to click off of this one. I'm not interested in it. It's kind of too risky. Even touch. EFOI popping up with continuation. We've got a daily level here at 620. Getting a little bit of volume. It's only up 11% right now. Break 620 there. But we're not moving very quickly on it. Just check how it's kind of just been selling off. So this is more or less just a bounce off the lows, it feels like. Not sure. We are holding the 9 EMA. This feels like it's gonna kind of grind up. So maybe I'll take a dip at 630 if I can see one. 3 seconds left. That would have been a good time to buy the dip at 640. I was hoping it would go a little bit lower. But now we have high volume selling. So now it's a bit hard to trust. A dip would have worked here from 340 up to 360 just for a quick 20-cent pop. But now it's not looking so good. Whoops, it's PRC. Kind of have a level here at 45. CLIK curling back up after a bounce off of this previous low. We have this sort of daily level here. 35 seconds left on that 5-minute candle. Let's see, it's going to retest off 324. It drops below there. Fighting for control of VWAP a little bit. What we're looking for on this is a proper entry candle on this retest right now. So I'm looking for a hammer or a dragonfly. Very small, tight doji or a green bodied candle. Right now we're just kind of fighting. So looking for something to tell me that there's going to be an imbalance between supply and demand. Just have a bit of a pivot here up at 3 or 430, 434. The only problem with this is that the highest volume selling of the day on the 5-minute is back here when it rejected up at 459 previously. So we're forming a little bit of a bear trap right now, but we're still struggling. $45 left on that 5-minute and a 2-minute candle. If just before it bounces off here, the 9 EMA, and comes back up to around 430, 437 or so, 435, then we might punch through the bit of a bear trap setup. See what it does here. So it closes below VWAP again. Another high volume selling on the 5-minute. I think we have a little bit more selling than buying right now. Might be too risky to get in this one until it punches through 468. Unless we surge with volume like right now. But even then, I don't know. Yeah, it's just selling off now. Picking through that 200 EMA on the 10-second. XRTX making a lot of noise, but again, it's got to break through 326 and hold 326. This is just a NASDAQ compliance. It released the headline a second time, hoping that its stock price is going to go up. So we break through that daily level again, coming up to the 200 EMA again. Unfortunately, I don't know if I can trust this because last time it broke through the 200 EMA and reached 350. It just rejected and came down. It rejected like 260 up to 350, almost a dollar a share off this rejection here in the 2 minute. Pretty much 50 cents pretty quickly in the 1 minute. So the market is hotter. But I just don't know if I can trust this stock in particular. It breaks through there. But it's a false break. See, the thing with these, we'll see if it holds true here, is when you have a false break after it rejected like this once already, buyers get nervous and they usually bail. We'll see. It does still have buying support down at 3. You see it dropping down and getting bought up there. Drops down to 299. $297 gets bought up. Back up to 310. So this is another retest of VWAP here. This is the second retest of VWAP. We break 340 after rejecting once. That is bullish. Got 1 minute 30 left on that 5-minute candle, forming as a hammer. Bit of a doji now. It's rejecting again. So this is definitely a stock. If I were to talk about anticipating the break, this is not a stock where you want to get in to anticipate the break. You want to get in when it breaks and holds because of its history here. Its strength isn't really that great. Hot market for one day. I think that we still have potential today for it to be a hot market. I think we just need a headline. Could be wrong. But if even stuff like this is popping up on Regain's NASDAQ compliance, like 60%, I think it's definitely warmer than it has been. Maybe it's not hot yet, but it's definitely warmer. Could just be coping though. Missed the hot yesterday, being silly. But see, I'm surprised. Like, we rejected twice. Like, this isn't flushing yet. On this headline, we're still rallying up, trying to break through. We've got 3 resistance levels up here, and it's already rejected several times. But buyers are still trying to buy it up. They're still fighting. Yeah, despite that, though, the S&P 500 is still going up today, like during pre-market session. It gapped down yesterday on Monday, ironically, because yesterday was a bit warmer than today is so far, but it's been going up still, which kind of shows that despite whatever's going on in Iran right now, people are still feeling a bit optimistic. US oil's going up a little bit though. Well, the PDT rule only affects retail traders. Really, like the big hedge funds, they don't really care about the PDT rule. The hedge funds and the algorithms and the private investors. I think I heard some ridiculous statistic like 90% of the market is owned by the top percentage of like corporations and businesses, or maybe it was like 95%. Like retail traders are such a small fraction of the overall market that the PDT rule doesn't really affect much for them. I think the small caps market is gonna heat up for sure. And the PDT rule changes might have been what triggered the volume to come back into the small caps market. But it doesn't really affect anything else. So overall for the S&P 500, I don't think the PDT rule is really doing anything in that regard. Could be. I could be wrong. Not really gonna trade at XRTX, I don't think. So I'm gonna take a look at this penny that's popping up for an experiment, maybe. Foreign private issuer. Well, it's already selling off, so cannot experiment with it if it's selling off. I think that once the PDT rule actually changes, like when all of the brokers go live with $2,000 margin accounts, that's when we're gonna really see things pick up. That's why I'm considering going live with real money in May, so that I can kind of get myself prepared emotionally and with Trade Zero for things to really start picking up in June. Because I believe June was the 45-day deadline, the first deadline to get the PDT rule stuff changed for most brokers. I was really sad though. Like I did a lot of research looking for a better broker than Trade Zero, and I live in Canada, and they just don't like Canadians, I guess. Well, I know the reason why is because we have so many federal regulations that they just nope out. So I can't trade with Lightspeed. I can't trade with Guardian Cobra. I can't trade with any of those. No, Trade Zero is about half a cent per share, 0.005 per share, plus some other fees. So it's about, like, it's a 100 share minimum. So it's 50 cents per or 50 cents per ticket, um, below 100 shares. But after that, it's 0.005 per share, and then like some other fees, small fees. But with the size that I'm currently trading, it's about $1.10 per trade is what the commission cost is. Pretty expensive, but I don't have any other options. Like I can't trade with Quest Trade. Quest Trade is commission free, but it's a Canadian broker. But it's terrible. Like it doesn't. Candyman trades with Quest Trade, so you can see what that platform is like. But it doesn't really have hotkey customization or anything like that. It has preset hotkeys and that's it. And I think during halts, when I last used it, it didn't show halt bands, and it didn't show halt resumption. The trading at the open with it was awful, and it also felt a bit slow on the execution speed. Webull is available, but Webull isn't so good for Momo trading either because Webull has slow execution speed. It's like it's quite a bit slower in terms of execution speed than Trade Zero is, even Quest Trade is. So I do have the option of Webull Canada, but considering my strategy is, getting in, getting out. I don't really like to trade with Webull. It's just too slow. Ocean One could have been another potential broker, but it's banned in Ontario for some reason. Like in other parts of Canada, it's allowed, but in Ontario specifically, it's banned. So I can't use Ocean One. So that leaves like there's interactive brokers, but interactive brokers has a Rule 144, which is terrible for small caps because you could just randomly get your account frozen. You can't sell. So the only other two options are TradeZero or Centerpoint. Centerpoint still has a $30,000 account minimum to use it. So I'm hoping Centerpoint Canada reduces its account minimum down to $2,000 to be in line with the PDT rule, but I haven't seen any announcements. But I really want to go to Centerpoint because TradeZero doesn't have direct access routing either. It's smart routing only. Although the execution speed is fast, it's only smart routing. So sometimes your executions can lag a little bit. TradeZero. Not to mention TradeZero is a Bahamian broker and you don't have insurance on it. So if you build up a really big account and they suddenly go out of business, you could just lose all your money. It's only good for small accounts. So TradeZero is just a short-term broker for me. Like I'm switching as soon as I can if there's anything that's better. High commissions, not really that reliable. Some of the customization on the level 2 is a little bit annoying. It's a bit limited. Like what it shows on the top bar. Some of it is it's restricted to regular market hours. Like I can't show high of day from extended hours. It's just a little bit weird. It sucks being in Canada and day trading because there's not really many options. To be fair with Webull, I haven't actually tested it myself. This is so Ross has some videos about which brokers are best for Canadians and which brokers are best for international. Webull Canada specifically, I think, has a longer execution time. So Webull has different sections. If it's any United States or international brokers, they always have to have a separate branch for Canada because of the particular legislation we have here, and it requires them to be in an organization. So sometimes it can differ between branches, but Webull Canada, apparently, according to Ross, has like a 12-second execution time or something. I don't know if that's true. That's just what I heard. And yeah, Webull does like restricting stocks too, is another issue, like you said. Like I am willing to pay for commissions as long as I get the execution speed to go with it. It doesn't bother me, especially since I'm trying to trade like Ross and trade less, trade only the highest quality. Commissions are kind of, to me, they're just they're expenses to do business. Just like if you're to run a restaurant, you have to buy food to do business, right? That just kind of comes with the territory, and to me. So I don't mind commissions. If I'm not profitable, even with commissions, it's still kind of my fault. That's the way I see it, at least. I TradeZero, and like, yeah, it has faster execution speed, but I'm paying commissions for smart routing, which I don't really like. I'm hoping to switch to Centerpoint at some point, either when I make $30,000 and can actually open an account, or to reduce their minimum down to $2,000. Let me look it up on the side actually. Webull Canada execution speed. Like I see him talking about like regular Webull and about execution speed with payment for order flow, but I think payment for order flow is banned in Canada. So I wonder if that's the reason why. I see some people saying that Webull is like somewhat quick. Like on his Canadian video, it says he has a spreadsheet that compares execution speed between brokers. It says like 12 seconds. So I don't know how he got 12 seconds, but that's what he said. Ross, I mean. It seems like really, really high. I don't know. Maybe I should test it myself. Probably deposit in like $30 or something and try it. XRTX still making a bit of noise here. I'm surprised this is even still hanging around, to be honest. MACD is crossing over. It breaks through, but then it drops back down with high volume selling. I think I just want to wait for 8 a.m. I don't really trust this stock in this news. Unless it breaks and holds high of day, then I'm just not going to touch it. Yeah, I think it's still slower. So live accounts apparently are about an average latency of 0.2 seconds for Webull Canada. If you compare that to Trade Zero's execution speed is about 0.035. So it's over 6 times, or almost 6 times slower than Trade Zero is. Like it's fast enough, right? 0.2 seconds, but Ross has talked about how much direct routing and like fast execution speed matters. Sometimes like over the course of a long period of time, just imagine you get filled 1 cent higher on every other trade because of your execution speed. That amount of money can add up. Like that 1 cent might literally just pay for commissions itself. Or even on the way out, like in and out, right? Maybe 1 cent both sides. Of course, this is just speculation. I don't know like how much the difference in execution speed would affect fills, but I'm just saying theoretically speaking. I will admit that I mean I do have a little bit of a perfectionist personality. I mentioned that before, but like I like trading with the best. Like I like the best tools. Whenever I buy something, like I buy a computer or I buy something that I care about, I usually want the best quality. And I would trade with like Lightspeed if I could, even with a $2,000 account. Like I would prefer trading with a good fast broker with direct access routing, even if it's a little bit more expensive. The problem is that I don't have access to those brokers, and then Centerpoint Canada $30,000 account just isn't possible for me right now. It's not realistic. Like that would be tantamount to taking out the majority of my investments to put into day trading, the majority of my savings and investments, which I don't plan to do. You know, I gotta keep a rein on it until I'm confirmed that I'm profitable. Even then, like I want to build up an account. I don't want to put all my savings into an account. Exactly. I know the problem is me, not the tools. If I get into a trade and Weeble ever lags on me, I'm just gonna be furious. I'm gonna be honest. I'm just gonna be mad. So I'd rather just pay the commissions and trade with something that I know is faster. So as expected here, we broke through 350 a second time and we just sold off. So I do not trust this stock. Just gotta wait 4 minutes to 8 a.m. C Pro? Is that a broker available to Canadians? Do you know? I've never heard of it. Oh yeah, CMEG. No, they don't. They don't allow. They don't service Canadians. So there's a lot of even international brokers that don't like Canadians because of our rules and regulations and the fact that they have to get into an organization and pay fees. Canada is very strict. A lot of brokers don't like that. Yeah, not available to Canadians, unfortunately. Well, the problem isn't like I don't think it's a problem that can be solved with VPNs because whenever you sign up with a broker, you have to give them your personal information to open an account. So it's not a matter of like just using VPNs and bypassing because I would basically have to lie and say that I'm a US resident and then like I would need US identification, which I don't have. Like I only have Canadian identification. Not to mention, right? Like I need, yeah, like if I'm reporting my taxes to Canada and they find out that I'm trading with an unlicensed, like an unregulated broker as a Canadian citizen, there might also be some complications with that. So yeah, that's not really something I can do. My only option if I want to be trade with a US broker is move to the US, pretty much. Get a green card somehow. The easiest way would be to marry a girl in the US. That's about it. Because I doubt it would be very easy to get a green card otherwise. We got news coming out at 8 a.m. Watching the news. Yeah, I don't know why they do it. I don't know why. I haven't looked into it. It's probably something to do with like taxes and like the underground economy and stuff. They probably don't want like a lot of Canadian money flowing out of the economy into the US. I don't know what it is, but it sucks. Sucks big time. There's probably some sort of loophole somewhere. There probably is. Um, if I have to do that, like if I'm making a lot of money and I have to do that in order to, get a reliable broker, maybe I would consider doing something like that. Right now, I'm not to the stage yet where like I want to be messing around with all of that. Who knows? Maybe eventually I'll make so much money that I could just buy the Trump citizenship. What was it? Like $2 million? Just buy the Trump card. How much? How much is a Trump gold card? $1 million. So there's my goal. I'll make $1 million and then I'll just buy the Trump gold card. Easy. Yeah, so I got a 2-year deadline for the Trump gold card. All right. So we gotta get our game face on here. Yeah, Puerto Rico. That would be nice. I saw Ross's video on Puerto Rico. I mentioned it. I have a friend who lives in the United States. And I mentioned Puerto Rico to him though, and he's like, "Why would you want to move there?" Apparently, he thinks it's a bad idea. He lives in Florida. He says that Puerto Rico is like undeveloped. If I were to trade this 250 shares quarter size, Lobo, AI director advisory lawyer. So it's above 200 and it's above that level. Well, what I want to see more than anything, putting all politics aside, all of the politics I probably shouldn't talk about on stream. I just want to see the corruption in the markets go away, like all of the insider trading and stuff, because that can be very damaging in the long term. If people just believe the system is rigged and the only way to get ahead is to be an insider or be a big hedge fund with an algorithm, trade with AI. It's very damaging in the long term. And the people in office right now they don't care about those problems. They contribute to them. When you have the sitting president of the United States literally rug pulling their meme coins, you know that they don't care about those issues. And I mean the Trump administration, we break through 110 here. I'll take this is an experimental position. Like I'm taking these out whether they win or not, by the way. Just mentioning that again. If it breaks through 110 here, then I'll take a position, but because we got a flat top here at 110. High volume buying, low volume selling. But the Trump administration is currently involved with the prediction markets as well. Like his son Barron is an advisor for one of the big prediction markets, and he doesn't really have any qualifications to be there other than the fact that he's involved. You know, he's the son of the president of the United States, and the Department of Justice, I think it was intervening in lawsuits filed against these prediction markets for being illegal sports betting companies. But they're preventing like lawsuits from going to court and stuff. So, I mean, the Trump administration just wants to see the world turn into a wealth extraction device for themselves. And even Republicans are admitting that now. You know, whether it's good, whether it's good or bad, whether you know people think he's good or bad, both sides are kind of admitting that the corruption in the White House is just not good. Yeah, he could be. He could be involved in the insider trading. You know, I'm not gonna point fingers and say for sure he is or yes or no. Politics are kind of not not really something that I want to talk about on stream too much, but you're not wrong. So we've got entry candles forming on all the time frames. It breaks through. I'll take a position. Stop is 110. Looking for the squeeze up to 120. Just an experiment position right now. We've got some sellers. Take a little bit of profit. I ended up selling a bit lower than I intended. I wanted to sell at 118, but the order went through at 115. $0.05 is usually the first target for stocks like this. New stop is break even. You have some bidders pulling it back up there. You have some rejections going on there. I don't really like this price action. I'm gonna get out. I mean, $5 is $5, I guess, but I think it just gets eaten by commissions right now. considering that this kind of setup on the 2 minute, you would think that it would move more before it rejects. Maybe I got in too high. I don't know. Yeah. Oh yeah, the resistance at 120. If I saw this earlier, I would probably would have sold everything at 120. Or I might have not gotten in at 112 because I would like to see at least 10 cents. So my first profit target is only 8 cents. Yeah, strong resistance up there. I mean, I would have no issue like discussing some politics if people weren't so like in their feelings about it. Like you and I might agree on certain things, right? But eventually if I get more viewers, I don't really want fighting about politics in the stream, you know? I kind of just want it to be a stream about trading. There's some people who really cannot handle talking about politics without like starting to make death threats and stuff. Not to mention, right? I'm not even a citizen of the United States, so a lot of people would point fingers at me and be like, "Well, who are you to talk about US politics? You don't even live here." Which they're not wrong. I have my own opinions about that stuff, but probably better just to stay away from controversial topics. I play I play a lot of games, and I've been in communities, Discord communities and stuff in the past with my friend, and he's very involved in like creating his own communities and stuff too. And that's the conclusion that we kind of came to is that for the most part, it's it's not really a topic you want to touch on unless you want to start fights. We've had several friend groups like break apart because of politics and stuff with like LGBTQ and all of that. All the controversial topics. We've had our experiences with those. Yeah, Canada right now is changing as a direct result of Trump's actions. Canada as a whole, the entire reason why our sitting prime minister right now is in the position that is in is because of Trump. So otherwise we'd have Mr. Polly as the prime minister right now. I hope we get news at 8:30, or else I'm gonna be wrong and we're back to cold market, just sitting around waiting for things. You might have been right. Hot market for one day. What's going on? It's a bit jarring actually. This kind of flip flop between hot and cold right now because people are uncertain, I guess. But I sat down this morning. I was like, time to put my big boy pants on today. We're gonna start getting aggressive. Right at 7 a.m., I took this trade, expecting the pop in CLIK, made $11, and I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go today. We're gonna get past that $15. We're gonna size up and we're gonna make all of the money, all of the monies, bags of money, as Candyman would say. Considering yesterday I messed up my keybinds, but we've been sitting here for almost an hour and a half now, and there's nothing interesting. If there's no news at 8:30, I have a feeling that there's not going to be any news today at all. 8:30 is like usually, it feels like 8 to 8:30 is the usual time for the biggest news to come out, for the biggest movers. Occasionally we get wild cards at 9 a.m. It's mostly 8 to 8:30. What it feels like anyway. Talking about moving though, and moving to the like the Bahamas, or moving to Puerto Rico. is one of the reasons why I got into trading, is being able to trade from anywhere. Trade at your own pace would be a dream for me. Only having to work for basically 3 to 4 hours a day, rather than having all your time being eaten up by work all the time. A lot of people probably get into trading for the same reason as me. Kind of an ideal sort of dream life, even if there's tensions that come with it in terms of when you have big losses. But one day, one day, I hope to move somewhere warm and do all that stuff. I live in a small city in northern Ontario, and we don't really have too many access to things. Like we do, like we're a medium-sized city, or like somewhere in between small to medium. But we don't have we don't have a lot of restaurants, like high-end restaurants. Like we don't have a lot of fun places to go here. It's kind of cold half of the year. Half of the year is just snowing all the time. For sure. I'm definitely in a lot better of a position than a lot of people. Like I have a university degree and I have a full-time job here. Um, so I'm not in a bad position. I'm not ungrateful for it. Sometimes it just feels like your job eats up most of your time though, most of your free time. Feels like you're working to live. Uh, you're both working to live and living to work. That's what it feels like. But even with my job, like things are so expensive here in Canada. It's getting ridiculous how expensive things are. Yeah, when the burdens are off your shoulders and you can kind of just do whatever you want. Yeah, and when you're young, like I'm only I'm only 30. I'm not like in my teenage years or in my 20s anymore, but I'm still young. So the best time to take risks is when you're young for sure. You have time to make up for them. So if it's something that you can see yourself doing in the future and you're gonna love what you do, sometimes it's worth it to take those risks. Not to mention, at a certain point, when things are getting kind of not very good in terms of like quality of living, like I'll just give a quick example here in Canada. Most people cannot afford a house even with decent income. Like I went to university for 5 years, and I've been in my job for almost 5 years now. But even after all of that, I pretty much couldn't afford to buy a house on my own without buying with somebody. I bought my house with my sister, and we're even splitting the expenses for it. But it's still barely enough to pay for at least the quality of living that we were used to living with my parents. I still live with my parents now, but I'm setting up a rental space to rent out to people in the basement. So she's living in the upstairs, and we're renovating the basement. We actually just finished the renovations a couple of weeks ago, and we're gonna look to get some tenants in and stuff so that I can save up some more money before I can move in. It's a little bit disheartening, you know. We're going to university, being told that you can get a good job, and then you finally get a decent job, and you can't even afford half a house. So then you have to start looking for other ways to make money. Yeah, exactly. Like our house is 1,169 square feet, and we had to pay $500,000 to buy that house. That's the equivalent of 366,000 US dollars. And it's even just getting more expensive. We got lucky with this house. If we were to buy that house today, we bought it a year ago, but if we bought it today, it would be probably almost 400,000 US dollars for a 1,100 square foot house. It's ridiculous. The house I'm living in with my parents right now, um, it's a much nicer house in a much nicer neighborhood. I think they bought it 15, 20 years ago for like $100,000. Today it's worth like over $1 million. And the original house we lived in when I was a kid was just a small house, about the same size as the one that we bought. Um, Me and my sister bought about the same size, maybe a little bit smaller. They paid like $20,000 for that house, like way back. They said they paid 20,000. So today we're paying like 20 times the price, like over 20 times the price for the same size of a house. Granted, that's not including, what the value of the dollar was back then, but it's still a lot more. Oh yeah, if you have the skills to build and renovate a house, it's like double, you get double your investment back, especially here in Canada. It's like 1.5 to 2 times your investment is what you get in returns. That's why when we were renovating the house that we bought recently, we turned the basement into an apartment. We renovated everything brand new. We could probably expect like 50% to 100% returns on whatever we invested in for the renovations. That's crazy. 100,000. He built it for 100,000 and he sold it for 500,000. Wow, that's even more than what I said. 2 times. That's like, yeah, that's like 5 times. NPX popping up. Hmm. Oh, I see. Yeah. speaking of like inflation, that's another thing too. Yeah, U.S. inflation did hit the U.S. dollar, but the U.S. dollar compared to the Canadian dollar is still like a 30 to 40% conversion rate. So like one Canadian dollar or one US dollar is like 1.4 Canadian dollars, 1.3 to 1.4 Canadian dollars. So if I purchase anything from the US, I'm paying with like 60 to 70% of the value. So in terms of like earning money on the stock market, I convert it to US dollars, like Canadian to US dollars, to be able to trade with US dollars. But any profits I get back, like if I scale up the account and earn it in US dollars and I convert it back to Canadian dollars, let's say I earn $1,000 of profit in US dollars in the markets right now. That would be equivalent to earning $1,400 Canadian. And it's kind of interesting because although like obviously I have an exchange loss when I convert from Canadian to US, the initial exchange loss, and theoretically speaking, like it doesn't matter as much if you take into account those losses. But over time, if you're trading with a maximum size trading account, like let's say my maximum size someday ends up to be similar to Ross, and I'm trading with a 20,000 share max position, the profits I could get, multiply that by 40% and to convert it back to Canadian. Granted, we do have to pay taxes on any trading income we earn. So I do have to pay taxes on it, which kind of balances it out a little bit. In the US, you can trade in a Roth IRA and not pay taxes, from what I hear. But in Canada, it's considered business income and it's taxable. Even if you trade it in an investment account, it's still taxable. Because it would be deemed to be business income. But I mean, the conversion is still more than what I would pay in tax, I think. Maybe not actually. If your tax bracket gets high enough, maybe you'd be paying more taxes on the conversion rate, but it's just another reason. It's just another reason to move to Puerto Rico and be a U.S. citizen, so I don't have to pay like if I end up making a lot of money, Canadian taxes would just be disgusting. What I would have to do if I stayed here is I would have to take any profits that I earn and try to start like a real estate business or something so I can claim deductions. Man, there really isn't anything today. I was excited to sit down to trade today, but we got nothing. And I wasn't particularly pleased with how Lobo turned out as an experiment. Most of the penny stocks that I've tried trading so far have just not really worked out. Maybe I missed the penny theme. What was the news on Lobo again? Just upgrade. Kind of an AI headline. I don't know. Did go from 60 all the way to $1. Maybe I should have tried trading the first part of the move here. 80 cents. It's 12 million share float though, but still would have worked. So let's take a look at what's going on here. I haven't looked around in a while, but I'm pretty sure there's nothing moving. XRTX is below VWAP. Lobo is kind of below VWAP now. LOCL actually looks like we might be close to breaking this pivot here. It's kind of creeping up. 326. LOCL is a 16 million share float though, but it is up 64%. It's our third leading gainer. And it's got some increasing volume here. 1 million shares on that 5 in it. This is a problem with higher floats. So despite having 500,000 shares of volume, 300,000, 160,000, you look at the level 2, it's just so thickly traded, just stacked. Moves so slow. It could possibly pull away if it breaks over 325. Then you might see a move back to the highs. This would be a bit of a grinder, probably 383. It is kind of the only thing moving right now, though. At all. Right, we can see these daily levels up here at 4. It popped up to 383, which is about the daily level of $4. But if it breaks $4, it has room up to 575 in this window. Had one reverse split. Got CLIK getting a little bit of volume. S&P 500 is now on a bit of a downtrend. It's in 740, which kind of makes sense. But this really is kind of like, have we ever seen this much volatility before in the stock market? We kind of had some here in 23, kind of stair step down a little bit. But there hasn't been that much volatility. There's a little bit here, a little bit here, kind of came up, down. But I don't recall seeing it like having this big swing to the downside, big swing to the upside, big swing to the downside. Maybe if we look at it on the 5-day time frame. The IVO popping up here. 14 million share float. It's an acquisition headline. It's only up 13%. It's got significant volume coming in, 1,000 shares. I think this one is easy to borrow though. So that's why the first pop kind of got destroyed by short sellers. Happen here. We got 3 minutes to 9 a.m. Hopefully get some news. It's pretty much the last chance for news, other than 9:15, but 9:15 hasn't usually been a good time for news, so. Well, I think we did have eFoy release at 9 or 9:15 last time. It did end up working, but yeah, I don't blame you. I would probably consider it too. I don't even, like I said, I do have a tiny bit of a cushion, so I could theoretically trade the open, but is there even any stocks that I would want to trade at the open? I don't think so. Everything kind of just sold off. And there was really nothing today that popped up with news that's not a penny stock or a high float stock. So like Lobo is too cheap. Like I don't trade penny stocks on Gap and Go really because the halt bands are too tight. SPRC, low view app, no news. It is the right price range and it's continuation from after hours here. So it does have a bit of a gap up with this kind of support level here at 611, 611, about 611. Maybe I would consider SPRC for like a red to green. It probably might sell off, bounce off of the 200, come back up, break through VWAP. SPRC maybe. CLIK. Whoop. CLIK. It kind of sold off too much. It's only up, it is up 36%. It gave back more than half of the move. Kind of basing out around 335. Hmm. Yeah, watching for news. See if anything pops up here. And VVE. So payment received is scheduled. It's not really that great news. Hmm. I guess we got nothing. Well, that's disappointing. My disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined. Well, I guess at least I got something. I got $11. What was I down yesterday? I think it was around $11. Trader view. I was down $18. So a little bit more than half of the loss yesterday, the drawdown. I was hoping to make it back today, but it is what it is. If there's no opportunities, there's no opportunities. Gonna be a no trade day for Ross. I'm not really interested in trading Lobo up here. Well, we're just waiting for 9:15 to 9:30, I guess. All right. Thanks for stopping by, Spooky. I don't know if I'm going to trade the open. We'll see. I might just call it here. Like today is clearly not a hot day. So I'll take a look at it, but who knows. But yeah, I'll talk to you later. Have a good day. Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I'm just keeping an eye on the scanners here for if anything comes out at 9:15, but it doesn't look like we really got anything today. So just waiting for the open. Just doing something on the side here. So this actually would have been a really good entry for the retest of VWAP here, but I didn't expect this to happen at all in this type of stock. The stock is was the stock earlier that kept popping up to this level and just failing over and over. So it's just hard to trust. It looks really clean here, but I really doubt this is going to break through and go all the way to 4. EDBL popping up, but cheaper price, very close to the opening bell. Dog is all impatient now. He thinks that I'm moving around because we're going to go upstairs. Hey, buddy. You have good naps? The stock would have worked from 120 up to 160. Got a lot of volume coming in. Acquisition headline on this one. Interesting how EDBL ended up actually working, even though I thought it was too close to the open, and I kind of released news at a weird time. There wasn't really very much excitement about it. Kind of trading above and below VWAP for the first couple minutes. Now it popped all the way up to 160, and now it's selling off. It's really weird price action here that we're seeing today. Popping up to 170, and then now we're all the way back down at 130. It's a pretty hefty candle for a $1 stock. 160 down to 145, 15 cents. 15-cent drop on a lower priced stock. That can really blow up a lot of people. LPSN kind of holding this 20 EMA. So 3 minutes to the opening bell here. Not really too much I'm interested in. Oh, man. I open up my stream just to check how it's doing, and I see Doggo staring at me in the background. Are you waiting for something? Waiting? Says, let me out. His nap is done. Says, my nap is done. Please go upstairs. I have his dog bed right next to me. Got a dog bed with a soft blankie like right next to my chair here. He usually sleeps all morning after I let him out. Like he sleeps with me at night. We wake up, I let him out, he eats a bit of food, he comes down here, sleeps in the bed next to me, and then around this time that he wakes up. Hey buddy. So SPRC just tanked, CLIK just tanked. So we're gonna stick to our plan. We're not gonna trade the first few minutes of the open, and we're gonna see if there is anything interesting. What was the last one? Our TX. We're gonna see which one is interesting enough to trade. Got some support down there. There's no trade day for Ross. PRC did a little bit of a red to green move there from 611 up to 640. But a little bit riskier. Has no news. Volume on it is also kind of light, 90,000 shares, 100,000 shares. Pretty light for the opening bell in SPRC, and it ended up tanking just now back down. Would have worked for a 50-cent move. Maybe a 30-cent move. Probably would have sold half as it was stalling out halfway, but doesn't look very promising right now. The opening. VWAP is at 310 on this stock. If I were to trade anything, I would like to see an obvious 5-minute or a 2-minute candle formation, an entry candle. Selling a little bit here. MACD is close to crossing over, but we're having trouble breaking through that VWAP 320 level. We've got 10 seconds left on that 5-minute candle. Got that seller at 333. We closed below that level of resistance on the 5-minute with a bit of a topping tail. This chart is just littered with topping tails. And we sell off there. So I don't think there's any point in trying to fit a square peg into a round hole today. It's possible that this pulls away at some point, but it's not a good stock to be trading at the open. It's risky. It just regains NASDAQ compliance news. It's not really anything that fantastic. There's nothing that really popped up with strong news today, so this is moving for kind of a lack of anything else, really. I mean, Lobo has a higher float and it went up, but now it's halted down. EDBL is kind of a garbage stock. And they're both lower priced, Lobo and EBDL. SPRC is kind of just bouncing off of lows right now. There's nothing really great today that I can say with certainty it's has a chance of going higher and pulling away. XRTX is our best option, but you can tell how biased the short sellers are on this stock. There were a couple of penny opportunities today, but my strategy doesn't really involve pennies. I experimented trading Lobo and it didn't work, so I've just kind of I haven't been taking pennies too seriously. Like I said before, I'm gonna take Lobo out of my metrics. I don't not a part of my strategy, so I'm just gonna take it out. Just been testing the waters with them. The stocks I do best on are between $5 and $10. Quite similar to how Ross trades. Not exactly the same as the way Ross trades. So I think I'm gonna call it here. Not gonna take any more trades. I'm gonna walk away with this $11. That puts us almost break even on the week, considering I had an $18 red day yesterday because of my mistakes with my keybinds. So we're only down $7 on the week. So as long as we get some good opportunities throughout the week, we should be able to have a decent week. It has been a little bit warmer, but I'm still not sure whether to call it a hot market. We'll see how tomorrow goes. Tomorrow will be the definitive day. If it's cold again tomorrow, then we were probably just back in a cold market, considering the S&P 500 is going down again. I'm back on downtrend right now. We'll see if that continues. US oil is also generally back on uptrend here. People are a bit uncertain about what's going on in the Middle East, so yeah, I think I'm done for the day. Thank you to everyone who stopped by today, watched the stream. I'll be back at it tomorrow, again at 7 a.m. usual time. But until then, I wish you a good rest of the day. Take care, and I'll see you next time.